I figured she's going to stay. How do you feel about that? Do you think people should drive through downtown St. Petersburg throwing their trash out the bus windows? Pinellas, 393-0057, 393-0057. Tampa, you're on the air, WPLP.
Hello, Bob.
Hello there.
I'm still awake.
You're still awake.
I fell asleep during that last phone call.
Oh.
Hey, but I
can't all be prize winners, sir.
I got a hot news flash.
A hot news flash.
Right.
Sure, it's just not a hot flash.
Huh?
You're sure it's just not a hot flash, but a hot news flash?
That's what I said, hot news flash.
Well, many of the people that call this program do have hot flashes.
Yeah, I've never had a, well, I don't know. I don't think I have. But anyway, my wife
I think you'd know if you did.
I'd know if I did?
I think so.
And then my wife just called me, and...
what did she call you?
Well, she called me to warn me, actually.
To warn you?
Yeah. Apparently, there are 2 time bombs walking around Daytona Beach and are maybe headed towards Tampa. Have you heard anything about that?
2 time bombs walking around Daytona Beach and may be headed for Tampa.
Right. And the reason why she called me to warn me, well, she has a lot of privileged information. She works for a prestigious security company for an account downtown.
Oh, I'm glad it's a prestigious security account.
Well, her sources are pretty good. For instance, she warned me about the bank closings that happened recently in Tampa, a week before it ever hit the press, and she was right. Of course, I didn't have an account in that bank, so it didn't make any difference to me. But anyway, about the time bombs, are you interested?
Oh, very.
Yeah.
On Friday night, sir, I'm interested about almost anything.
Right. It's a 13-year-old girl, and I believe a 15 or 16, I'm not sure, year old girl, who are prostituting themselves in Daytona Beach. They have literally almost every sexually transmittable disease known to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
They have AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, venereal warts, and herpes simplex 2. The authorities are looking for them and have descriptions out, and I was just wondering if you had heard anything about it.
No, as a matter of fact, I hadn't.
Well, like I say, I have this privileged information that may not have hit the news yet. But it will. Also, let's see, a few days ago, you had a program on people in Ybor City coming up with something like $11,000 to donate to the Washington Post or some other magazine.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that for advertisement for one of
Major South.
Right. And you were asking what people could use or what they could come up with for something better to spend the money on?
Yes.
I think they should spend the money on jumper cables.
Jumper cables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is, have you ever heard the old joke? Well, I don't know if it's an old joke or not.
No, I didn't hear a Willer show today.
It was something about the most frustrating thing in the world is an Indianapolis Mexican 500 with only 1 pair of jumper cables. And I was thinking that what they should do is they could buy a lot of jumper cables with $11,000.
I suppose they could.
Yeah, it'd be better than an advertisement, in a out-of-state magazine.
Uh-huh.
Right. Anyway, the news flash was that there are a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old possibly headed towards Tampa. They're prostituting themselves, and they've got literally everything. So it's just
Do you realize that with $11,000
and your viewers?
Do you realize that with $11,000 you could buy 1,571 pair of jumper cables at $7 apiece?
No, I hadn't figured that out.
Well,
but
now you don't have
I think that would help Ybor City,
No, it'd certainly help the jumper cable manufacturer.
That is true.
Yes, it is true.
Yeah.
We're in pursuit of the truth here.
Yeah, show me a light and I'll follow it anywhere.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah. Well, have a good night, Bob.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yep, thank you.
He thought the lady from San Antonio was dull? 20 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. Have you ever heard me more congenial? This is the night for you to take part in the program, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, go on. Go on. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Is there a dial tone there? If you're in Hillsborough, 224 0057. Did I say that too quickly? 224 0057. If you're in Pinellas, 3. That's the one that looks like the backward E. 9. That's the one that looks like the upside down small b. 30057. 393-0057 if you're in Pinellas. If you're not in Hillsborough or Pinellas, there's an 800 number, and I've not the vaguest idea what it is. You'll just have to listen, and they give it out occasionally on the recorded announcement. Pinellas Park, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
How you doing?
Oh, Marvy.
I had a quick question on overseas travel. I've heard you talk about...
A quick question on overseas travel. Yeah. Well, you certainly have come to the right place.
Okay, listen, I'm going next month to a communist country on vacation. And I've heard that
Going next month to a communist country on vacation. Yeah, I see,
I've heard that I could sell blue jeans for like $150. I saw it on 60 Minutes months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in Russia. I'm going to Poland, and I wonder if that's actually true. Do you know anything about that?
Well, not being a purveyor of contraband blue jeans in communist countries, no, I'm afraid I don't really have the answer to that.
I've asked a lot.
But they wouldn't fib to you on 60 Minutes, would they?
Yeah. You know, I got something interesting, a list of items that I can bring in the country and a list of items that I cannot.
Uh-huh.
And, they consider a Vogue magazine pornographic. I'm not allowed to bring that in. And
God, they've got the NFD over there, too, huh?
Yeah, there's so many restrictions on what can be brought in and brought out, but I figured if I can make a fast buck, I'll bring over 5 or 6 pairs of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I thought you might be able to give me the answer.
Well, what can I say?
All right, thank you, Bob.
Okay, bye. All right. I love Friday nights, don't you?
People ain't thinking about this stuff.
No, that's for sure. Clearwater, you're on there at WPLP.
Say, you asked me to call, and I called.
Okay.
All right. Now, I got a few things I'd like to go over with you.
A few things. Okay.
Reagan's Contra Rambos. Say, my memory isn't as good as my forgettery. Reagan's routine, every ritual that's habitual. Reagan's bandwagon, the ballyhoo the gullibles rally to. Reagan's talent, a gift with the assumption that we supply the gumption. Couple others are this.
Oh, there are more.
I got married
Lucky night.
by a judge when I should have had a jury. The next one is not directed to you because I've never met you personally.
Well, thank you for that.
But I have met...
Keep it that way.
One of your... Well, all right, we'll keep it that way then. You don't want to be a buddy.
Well, it's not that I want to be a buddy. It's just I'm, basically a recluse.
All right.
It's kind of like to sit in a room and talking to a microphone all by myself.
So am I, But anyway, I never forget a face, but I'll make an exception in this case. And you have a very nice program. I enjoy...
Well, wait a second. I thought you were going to slam one of my colleagues.
Well, I did. That was for Tim Coles.
Oh.
The last one.
Well, if we, how are we to know that?
Well, I didn't want to mention the name because...
And people might have thought it was Chuck Harder.
Well, no, it's not Chuck Harder because, let me tell you, buddy, Tim Coles boils my water.
Tim Coles isn't half the man that Chuck Harder is.
Well, I met Tim...
I'm hardly half the man that Chuck Harder is.
I met Tim Coles in the Sunshine Mall one time. I asked him a damn simple question. He went on...
Well, they're the best kind to ask Tim.
Huh?
They're the best kind of questions to ask Tim.
Well,
simple questions.
It doesn't matter what you ask him. He knows the answer. It's that simple. But anyway, be a good guy.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, there he goes. God love him. Somebody's got to. Pinellas, 393-0057, Hillsborough, 224-0057. What is happening tonight? Largo, you're on the air.
Yeah. Bob?
Yes, that's me, Bob.
You remember the incident of the Japanese being incarcerated in fenced-off areas all through California?
Well, I've read about it, yes.
Uh-huh. Now comes another deal. When are we going to pick up the Iranians, Shiites, Muslims, and whatnot over here and put them in a fenced area?
Never, I would hope.
Why not?
Because I would hope that we're a little bit beyond that type of barbarous behavior.
Brother, let me tell you something. If they did it, you know any better way to stop a little war? Put all them leaders together we got over here that think they are. And
which leaders did you have in mind, sir?
What's that?
Which leaders did you have in mind?
Well, let's see. Jackson for one, possibly, the black boy.
Jackson, the black boy, uh-huh.
Well, now, and, the fighter that went Muslim, too, what's his name? It's gone a little bit wacky. Oh, hell. Not Joe Louis. The one, Mohammed something?
Mm-hmm, Mohammed something, uh-huh.
That type.
That type.
That's the kind that we should put inside a little fence and hand them a ball bat each, and how many's alive the next morning? Real interesting. It's just like the old saying, you take all the leaders and put them in a gate or a fenced-in area, your problems will be all over.
Really?
Absolutely. Hell, you don't see the king and the queen nor the presidents of any nation go up in the front lines and hand them a gun to shoot at the other guy, do you?
Well, I don't normally hang around the front lines, but I'll take your word for it.
Ask somebody at the front lines and see how many of the leaders went up to the front lines and stayed there consecutively with the doughboys. No way.
The doughboys?
Yes, sir. And the frogs and the wogs and the whole damn bit and the limeys even.
Do you have a daughter that lives in Gulfport?
Huh?
Do you have a daughter that lives in Gulfport?
Not quite, but...
Just curious.
I've got a very weird train of thought.
No.
Too little of it, too much. And I tell you, it's awful souring to think of what's going on. When you make a hero out of a thief and a liar and a big shot with brass buttons, that's the time to do something about it, I would think.
By rounding up Jesse Jackson.
All right. Iranians, Iraqis, and the whole damn bunch of them. Put them all together in a kettle and stir them up and see what you got left. There'd be no more troubles. May sound a little weird, but...
Including that black boy Jackson.
Well,
he's not an Iranian, to the best of my knowledge.
If he gets into the White House, he'll think it's fun around here.
If he gets into the White House?
Yeah.
What makes you think he might get into the White House, sir?
Oh, he ain't going to get in the White House, but they're going to put him out there far enough so that the votes will go his way, and those that go his way ain't going to be against the other guy. So the other guy gets a good runoff, and he wins. And you're right back to where you were 8 years ago at Reagan. Start all over again. Been that way not too long. That may sound radical, but, brother, you think about it.
Okay.
Be good to yourself.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah, yes?
Stay away from Blue Mountain Lake for a while.
Okay.
You bet.
I wake up every morning wishing that they had killed me. And Jim does, too.
Well, there are 2 lines open in Pinellas. I'm hesitant to give out the numbers, but they are a matter of public record. So I shall give them out anyway. 393-00-57. Lutz, you're on air at WPLP.
Hello.
Hello, Lutz.
Hello.
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 I am the lady that sent you the cards from Blue Mountain Lake area.
My God, it's the most popular topic on the program tonight. Well, thank you. I enjoyed them very much. They brought back many fond memories.
I had hoped so. Yes. Well, we are back. We flew up.
Are you also...
car in Syracuse.
You're also the one then that sent me the little article about the Adirondacks Museum and Blue Mountain Lake?
I sent you some...
newspaper clipping?
No, I did not.
Oh, that's another one then. Okay.
Well, it must have been another lady.
Blue Mountain Lake. My goodness, you wouldn't think it would be that popular, would you?
Well, it's we traveled up there. We were originally from Potsdam, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
I really enjoyed the postcards.
Yes, I did send you a clipping.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little article about the Adirondacks Museum.
Yes.
Blue Mountain Lake.
Yes, I did. Yes. And I sent you some cards. I had an awful time finding cards. They don't sell cards anymore.
Well, yeah, it's not a very big town.
Well, I
suppose a person could go broke selling picture postcards of Blue Mountain Lake.
Well, I want to tell you, I had to go clear down to what the little town called Hopkins to find anything that even looked like the mountains.
What's the name of the town?
Little Hopkins.
Not familiar with it.
Well, that is about 11 miles the northeast of Potsdam.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Uh-huh. So, well, we ran into some awful warm weather up there, worse than this area, for 1 week. The next week it cooled down. And tonight I just called my friends up there, and it's 60 degrees at 8 o'clock.
Not in the least bit surprised. That's typical weather.
Yes, it is. Right. And how long ago were you in Blue Mountain, Bob?
Oh, gosh. The last time I was in Blue Mountain Lake, I was living in Richmond. Probably about 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
At least it might even been
the road
10 or 11.
Changed much. It hasn't changed much. They can use a lot of work on the road.
My ex-father-in-law built that road, by the way.
No kidding.
He really and truly did.
No kidding.
He was an engineer for the state of New York, and Route 28.
Oh, yeah.
He built it from Blue Mountain Lake, rebuilt it, I should say, from Blue Mountain Lake all the way down to Forestport.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Just a little.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Fiction or fact from Uncle Bobby's Almanac.
It's very nice up there. I mean, it's nice, but not in the wintertime.
Oh, that's when I love it the most.
Well, I'm glad to be here in the wintertime.
Oh, it's gorgeous in the winter.
We missed your programs. No talk shows up there. We missed your programs.
No, they're sensible people up there. They wouldn't have anything like this.
Oh, I don't know. We enjoy you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And thanks for the postcards. I really did enjoy them. They cheered me up.
And say hello to Mary for us.
Will do.
Yes. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Palm Harbor, hi. You're on the air at WPLP.
Yes. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening.
I thought this would be the perfect evening to ask you this question.
Okay.
I think it would be so nice to see your lovely wife, Mary, back on the dating game or whatever you call it.
Dateline.
She used to be so good at it.
Well, I quite agree.
Pardon?
I quite agree.
All right.
That she was good at it.
I know just because she's married doesn't mean she can still run a game like that. I think we do have an awful lot of...
Mary runs one hell of a game, I want you to know.
Pardon?
Mary runs one hell of a game.
I'll bet she does.
Oh, she does.
Well, if anybody knows, you would. But is there any chance of her running that dating again?
I honestly can't answer that question. I do not know. I know that Mary got a little tired of it. Not tired of it. It's just that she had so many other things to do that it became a considerable problem for her to work it in time-wise. And I can tell you that in the foreseeable future, in the coming months, Mary will be even more busy than she has been in the past. So anytime in the near future, it's very unlikely.
It is, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Too bad, because I know we have a lot of singles in the area.
Well, aside from the fact that I'm married to the lady, I thought she was pretty good on the air.
I think she would be, really. I'd love to see her come back.
Well, one of these days you never know in this business.
Right, I know. But you're doing terrific, and we're proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.
It breaks your heart to hear that poor thing cry like he does?
Well, it breaks my heart, but, when the phones aren't lit, that breaks my heart even more. You do what you have to do.
Oh, shame on you. Go jump in a lake and have somebody to hold your head under the water for by hour.
I'm not holding his head under the water. I'm just holding him by the tail and dunking him in the bucket.
Yeah, put him in the water. How would you like that? Oh, I wish I was close to you with a rolling pin.
Rolling pin?
I sure do. I'm going to call the PCA, too, and report you. All right.
Just getting out of hand. air, WPLP.
Hello, Bob.
Hello.
How is it you're not downing our dear president tonight, as per usual?
As per usual, sir?
Yeah, almost every night you got him there and you call them all kinds of names.
Well,
why not tonight?
Well, sir, let us...
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Sir, let us recap. Sir, don't have a stroke. Wait a second. Sir, mellow, sir. Let us recap. On Monday, I talked about... He hung up on me. Well, I'm still going to finish. On Monday, sir, I talked about buying furniture. On Tuesday, I wasn't here. On Wednesday, I wasn't here. Last night, we spoke about anything but Ronald Reagan. And tonight, I haven't mentioned Ronald Reagan. I think you're being quite unfair, sir, in suggesting that all I do is run down the president. Besides, after 7 years, sir, we all know what a fool the president can be at times. It's not required every night anymore. The message has already sunk in. One line open. It's in Pinellas, 393-0057. Sarasota, hi, you're on the air, WPLP.
Hey, good Friday night to you, Bob.
Well, it might be.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like a full moon out there or something. Hey, listen, I just wanted to tell you, I called the governor's office today to complain about that, the taxpayers paying for this Pope visit.
Uh-huh.
Well, you wouldn't believe what this lady told me up there. I mean, she told me, she said I could have a full account sheet. It takes 90 days from the time from his visit. She told me also to be a good citizen and support the Pope and don't damn him.
Be a good citizen and support the Pope?
And don't damn him, because I call him everything except the Pope.
Wait a second. The governor's office told you, in other words, you would not be a good citizen if you complained about the Pope?
No, she didn't tell me that. She just
that's in essence what she said, if, be a good citizen.
Well, I ain't going to tell you what I told her, but, I'm telling you, it just burned a hole through me, and it's just still, the more I think about it, the more upset that I get. But I couldn't believe that they told me that up there at the governor's office.
I can't believe it. That's incredible.
Well, tell me about it. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. She told me, here's what she told me. She said, out of all the calls they've had in support of him, that I'm about the 10th caller to complain out of all the calls she told me this.
People are calling the governor's office to, support the Pope?
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of in my life. I'll tell you, it's just disgusting. She said, that's what she told me. She says, be a good citizen and support the Pope. And I'll tell you, man, I just about went through the ceiling. Did you get this bimbo's name? No.
Oh, what a tragedy.
Yeah, really, it is a tragedy. I wish I would have. I'll tell you what, I was so upset, and it just, I'm not anti-religious or anything like that, but I mean, it just kind of burnt me.
Well, being a little bit bent out of shape about the money being spent to bring the Pope to Florida has nothing to do with being pro or anti-religious.
Well, she said he was a head of state, just like...
Yeah, right.
That was her excuse. She said that he was a head of state, just like Thatcher from Britain or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It was that kind of a deal. And I'll tell you, that just kind of tore me up, man. It really did.
Amazing. Just utterly amazing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Miami, it's just such a great town sometimes, and...
Yeah, I'll tell you, I wish...
Tallahassee's a great town sometimes, too.
I wish it wasn't illegal to throw tomatoes at him. I'd probably go down to Miami just for that. But maybe he'll get hijacked to Cuba or something. But anyway, have a good evening, okay, buddy?
Well, I'll try.
Take care, buddy.
Ta-ta. One line open in Pinellas, 393-0057. Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP.
Is that me?
Yes, that's you.
Listen, I am been in America for 90 years, and I'm as white as snow.
You have been in America for 90 years,
yes,
and you're as white as snow.
And I voted for Jesse Jackson for the primaries for the last 2 times that he's been running. And there's plenty of white people that will vote for him. And your show is too mild. If you don't get tough and rough, you're going to lose colors.
My show is too mild.
Tough, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of callers. They want to see that torment going on, Well,
where do you suggest I start, sir?
Huh?
Where do you suggest I start?
Start with the first one. Give them hell. Give them hell. That's the only way you'll get listeners.
Yeah, look here, you old goat. Don't bother calling me again until you put your false teeth in, you know?
Yeah, well, that's...
Is that kind of what you had in mind?
That's 2 miles.
Oh, 2 miles for you.
Well, you got to get rough, tough.
Yeah?
Shut up, you. Shut up. People like you get more callers that way.
You really think so?
Listen to no other program. I want to hear these people get bored out, you know.
Oh, really?
I've been, yeah.
Well, why don't you turn on Sally Jesse Raphael? It's probably a lot closer to, what you'd like to hear.
Get tough. Get tough. Get tough. You'll get more...
Get off my phone, you old goat. Now there's a line open in Hillsborough. 224-0057. Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Bob?
Yes.
I believe when the ship is sinking, the rats are the first to abandon the ship. I'm talking about Britain, France, and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised nobody has called in about this. We look like we seem like we're being left alone in news and in foreign affairs all over. I guess William Lerner was right. We are a nation of sheep.
We are a nation of sheep? How's that, sir?
We're being led to oblivion, that's why.
Who is leading us to oblivion?
Well, we're being left alone in foreign affairs, as you noticed lately.
Well, I thought you said we're being led to oblivion. Who's leading us to oblivion?
Circumstances around the world where everybody's fending for themselves, for their own self-interest.
Well, isn't that normal?
They don't care about what America has done for these people in the past.
Sir, isn't it rather normal for people to stand for their own self-interest?
Absolutely normal. But I believe in loyalty.
And loyalty?
I believe if one country liberates another one from an enemy, I think they owe some kind of a behoovement to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose we've repaid our debt to France on that.
Yes. Well, I thought maybe I'd just snap this in. I was mad as hell when I heard this news tonight.
Uh-huh. What do you think they should do?
Well, we can't force them to help us.
Well, suppose they disagree with us, sir.
Well, they may disagree, but it's a commonality involved here. I mean, we're all in the same boat.
But suppose they disagree with us, sir.
Well, they have...
Are they not sovereign nations?
We can't force nations to go and violate our ways, you know.
Well, then what's your complaint?
My complaint is that it's just they're a bunch of rats, that's all.
A bunch of reds.
Well, whatever they are. Thank you, Bob. I said my piece.
The ultra-conservative East German government, the ultra-conservative Thatcher government are a bunch of reds.
Probably.
Probably.
And President Reagan, he's always friendly with Margaret Thatcher, and now she's out of town today, and so was the assistant minister there, so some honky PR man had to talk for England tonight.
A honky PR man?
Yes.
Had to talk for England tonight. What constitutes a honky PR man for Margaret Thatcher?
Well, he's a guy that's just double-lipping everybody in England, I guess.
Double-lipping?
Yes.
Must be very popular with Margaret.
He was left with instructions to what to say, and that's what he said to the media.
Well, isn't that generally what a spokesman for Margaret Thatcher would supposed to be doing?
He is not a spokesman. He's an assistant deputy minister of some sort.
He is not a spokesman for the Thatcher government, but he spoke for them anyway.
He certainly did.
Well, was there somebody that just broke into the room or something and, threw the real spokesman out?
No, not really, Bob.
Well, then how do you suppose this travesty happened?
Oh, he was approached with that question, and he answered it.
Well, why do you suppose they approached him with that question?
They wanted to know why Margaret Thatcher wasn't home when she was needed for a question, a very important, vital question.
So then I suppose he was then a spokesman for Margaret Thatcher, which is why he was asked the question.
Probably so, Mark.
Oh, well, I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for...
Hey, thank you so much. Love when citizens call the program. Okay, St. Petersburg, you're on there at WPLP.
Howdy, Bob.
Hi.
Before I left in April on my motorcycle down Interstate 10 to San Diego, California, passed a lot of states, and then I came to Arizona. Then I had to pass the desert and a different kind of heat than they got in Florida, and then the mountains. When I got down to San Diego, I was sitting on the beach one time, and I went on up to a city called Malibu, and I was sitting on the beach, and I was thinking about how your talk show was a chance to express yourself. And all of a sudden, these tourists had come up and said, man, if you don't know how to swim good, you better move. And I went up, and they had like a restroom for men and women and a snack bar. and a wave had come up and just knocked everything and knocked me against the wall. And some guys were surfing it. And y'all are real special to me, your talk show, you know. There's a concert coming in October that's sold out at Tampa Stadium. Since the Super Bowl, nothing but Pink Floyd. There's an old song they did called Comfortably Numb. Maybe you never heard of it, but that's the name of the song. It's kind of how I feel now, but California, I talked to Tim one time, and he said there were some real nice shops down there and the beaches. Bob, if you ever get a chance to go out there, you would blend in perfect. I mean, with the local people, they would really love you as much as they do here, Bob.
Oh, yeah, I'm just real California material. Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's so beautiful. Like, you know, Lake Tahoe, Yosemite.
Uh-huh.
And then you go over to Tijuana and keep going. You get a $2 dinner. There's a steak dinner for $2.
$2 what?
$2 steak dinner.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, all you could eat. When you walk out, your belly feels fine. And inside they had nothing but pictures of bullfighters and the waitresses are real sweet. It's Mexicali or somewhere past Tijuana.
Uh-huh.
But I guess it goes back to that, you know, old saying, you know, whatever I do, I'm not always there, but I spent a long time in the Navy, and I was good, Bob. I knew some people that were from the Korean War that were different. They were uplifting, kind of like you. I don't know why I'm attracted to what you say and whatever, but I mean well, and I always wish you the best, and I think I did that in April. You were on one Saturday afternoon in April, or March or April, and I wish you the best. But if you ever, California is so beautiful.
Well, I thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever get a chance, go down to San Diego.
Oh, God, I wish I was there tonight.
Really?
Oh, really?
Golly, me too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, take care.
Happy trails.
You too.
Bye-bye.
God, who says you can't get good acid anymore, you know? Every job. Don't you wish you had a job like this and get paid for doing this kind of stuff? Hi, Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hello, Bob.
Hello there.
I just wanted to call up and tell you, I was driving along the road, that I've been an American for 38 years. I'm black as the ace of spades, and I voted for President Reagan.
Okay.
Okay?
Just trying to, offset the guy who's been here for 90 years, as white as snow, and voted for Jesse Jackson. I see. Well, I like a nice balance on the show, you know?
Yeah. So do I. I got a joke for you.
Okay, what's that?
Why do Polish women hate to breastfeed?
Why do Polish women?
They hate boiling their breast. Bye, Bob.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I sound like Wheeler or something? Give me a break. Tampa, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hello, Bob.
Hello there.
Hi, but I can't understand why all these white people's calling and saying they are white. They is not white, because if they get a piece of white tape and hold up against their face, they is not white.
Oh. Well, Mike, what do you think? Oh, it is from a yellow legal pad, but is it close? No. Log paper, that's pretty white. Okay. What do you think? It's got it next to my beard. I'm sorry. I'll hold it up a little higher. Yeah, how about it now? A little red. It's probably from gagging a lot. Tampa, 224-0057, 224-0057. Oh, hurry, 11 o'clock, hurry. Where were we? Largo, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hi.
Hi.
Rob, you disappointed me in a couple of things tonight.
I disappointed you in a couple of things. How is that?
But before I get to that, have you ever heard of Louis Lake, which is a privately owned lake right near Blue Mountain Lake?
No, I haven't.
Oh, our editor of Finger Lakes newspaper I used to be a reporter for let us use that free for vacations, and I just wondered. It's very near Blue Mountain. Anyway.
Well, there are so many lakes up there. Give me a break.
Know. Now to the two things you disappointed me on. You let a straight line go by, when that gal talked about her down and going town, you didn't ask if that was opposite to up and coming. You old buffoon, you.
But she had already said that Gulfport was up and coming. That's why I said was San Antonio down and going.
Oh, well, you see, when you get senile, you miss all that. And also, as to the Pope's visit,
yes,
very controversial. You've been referring to him, I think, mainly as head of a church, but he is really coming here as a head of state. And
mere technicality.
Yeah, the Vatican's a separate entity from Italy, and with whom we have ambassadorial relations.
They got a bigger park in Bel Air Bluffs than he's got a country.
Yeah, but when our heads of state go there or other places to host monetarily, the hosting company takes care of his visit.
Well, but, when our head of state, Ronald Reagan, goes to another country, he rarely preaches religion.
Well, I don't know. Look at it, whatever. But he does go there, and I think he discusses religion when he meets with the Pope. I think that would be one of the things he would discuss. But in any event, I thought that old buffoon, I better talk to him. Okay, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Glad you're a part of the show. 7-0, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Oh, hey.
How's the old Fix or Repair Daily?
It's doing fine.
Is it a Mercury or is it a Ford?
It's Ford.
It's Ford, yeah. I've got big problems with a Mercury. The transmission went out on it 3 times. A new one. I'm involved in a lawsuit over that now. It's under the Lemon Law.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say something too. I went through the McDonald's the other day, and
why?
Went to why?
Why?
Well,
yes.
it was just something quick food. I had to have something to eat, and I drove through and I said I'd like a cheeseburger, a large order of a large Coke, and a large fry. And the guy that was
set up here,
the guy that was taking the order said to me, "What?" So then I said, "I want a cheeseburger, large order, fry, large Coke." And he understood me real quick.
Really?
Yeah, it was like downtown St. Pete. But I was just, I guess I was bilingual at that time. I had to adjust, and the guy understood me, which was fine. But but anyway, so much for that.
For that.
I wanted to ask you, did you ever find out the true story? What happened to Dusty?
The true story as to what happened. Dusty who?
Dusty the cat. You just sparked my memory when you had the advertisement for Sunshine Termite and Pest Control, and then the lady that called up that was complaining about.
Oh, okay. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do know that story.
Yeah, what?
The cat went under the house, and no one could see it. They tried for almost 2 hours to flush the cat out. When the cat could not be flushed out, even using tear gas, they could only assume that it had escaped by another route. No one could see the cat, and so they proceeded with a tenting.
Oh, okay. I see.
It was an honest, legitimate mistake. It's a very, very tragic, unfortunate story, and nobody feels worse about it than the guys at Sunshine.
Yeah, I was wondering, have you had any better luck getting personally sponsored advertisers or anything?
Have I had any better luck getting personally sponsored? I don't try to get personally sponsored.
Actually, I guess that's the wrong term. What is it? Personally promoted advertisers?
I haven't the vaguest idea what you're talking about. I don't sell advertising.
No, I don't. I know you don't sell advertising. I'm talking about where you personally endorsed products.
I only personally endorse products I so desire to personally endorse.
Have you got any more?
I'm not accepting anymore. I'm not accepting anymore. I made a very, very bold stand on that about a month ago. I'm not accepting anymore.
About it. I was wondering if you had got any more.
I'm not accepting anymore.
You haven't got any more that don't care about.
I'm not accepting anymore.
Okay, well,
simple as that. Whether they like what I say or they don't like what I say, I'm not accepting anymore.
You're not accepting anymore at all.
That's correct.
Not even for the right amount of money. You mean if somebody?
For no amount of money, sir.
You mean if I offered you $1,000, you wouldn't put on my advertisement?
Sir, if you offered me $2 billion, not only wouldn't I put on your advertisement, but if I had the vaguest idea it was you again on the phone, I wouldn't even put you on. after the hour of 10 o'clock. Third and final hour for this Friday night, July 31st, 1987. Mad Dog Lassiter with you. By the way, just in the way of a little programming note, luck of the draw would have it that tomorrow morning is my turn to fill in on the Saturday morning show from 9 until noon, right here at News Talk 57 WPLP. It's always one of the highlights of the month. Tomorrow, my guest is Swami Jones, the world's greatest psychic. He will be on the telephone with us, answering all of your questions about lost rings, lost love, whether to sell the house, all those important things. Swami Jones, my guest tomorrow at 9 o'clock. You will not want to miss it. It will be incredible. I mean, I'd set the alarm for this one if I were you. I'm going to set the alarm for it. Not because I believe in psychics, but because they told me if I don't come in, they'll fire me. Which is an extra added little incentive. Not much of one, but a little incentive. Just a wee tiny bit. Let me give you the telephone numbers. It has been an exciting open program tonight. 224-0057 in Hillsboro. That's 224-0050. My goodness, there's a twinkling light on the Phenortner in Hillsboro as we speak. Pinellas, 393-0057. 393-0057. And you too can be part of history. Tampa, you're on the air to WPLP. Hello, Tampa. Tampa didn't want to wait. That's tragic. Tragic. It breaks my heart. Hillsboro, 224-0057, 224-0057. St. Petersburg, welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you on the show.
I just wanted to say I think Tim Cole is the best talk show host on WPLP.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least, sir, if that's the way you felt.
And
most people of your generation do feel that way.
And I think you're the second best.
Well, that's a bit of a surprise.
You're kind of smart in your own way, but, well, Tim Cole is smarter.
Tim Cole's is smarter. Well, again, as I had mentioned, most people of your generation feel that way.
Even though you're both working in the deadest town in the deadest state in the United States.
Well, wait a second. You find the Tampa Bay area to be dull and dead?
Is dull, dead, 50 years behind the times, and especially St. Petersburg, there's no decent restaurants, there's no pretty girls. All the girls are ugly, stupid.
Ugly and stupid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would be caught kissing one in a dark alley.
Oh, come now. You'd love to be caught kissing one. Go on, admit it.
No.
Go on.
After all, at 67, who cares a darn about ugly girls with no money?
Then why are you complaining?
Well, I'm still looking for one. I still have hope of finding some decent, self-respecting gal about 75 or 80. I'll take me in as a house pet.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to leave your name and address with the producer in case somebody calls in that would be interested in having a house pet?
I doubt it. Oh. No such luck for an old coot like me.
Okay, I'm just trying to help.
Well, after all, I'm used to the privilege of my own sweet, handsome, intellectual company. After all,
no doubt in my mind about that.
I think I'm the greatest guy in the world, and there's no one better than me.
Next to Tim Cole's.
Yeah, next to Tim Cole. And if he could be president of the United States, I'd vote for him.
Okay. Well, fortunately, he can't be.
And in that case, I'd vote for Richard M. Nixon for president.
I don't think he's running this year.
Well, I think he should. After all, he's an honest, hard-working, intelligent gentleman.
Okay.
Would have you as vice president.
Oh, Marvy.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank goodness. Sarasota, hi, you're on the air, WPLP.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Oh, just...
Listen, I heard Rocky last night.
Uh-huh.
For somebody who has lived up north most of his life and moved down here 6 years ago, it was something to behold.
Why?
Okay?
Oh, come on, give me a break. You've heard people talk just like that up north. I have. That's where I'm from.
No.
Maybe not with the accent, but the words.
Yeah, maybe by the water cooler, but not on the radio, okay? And I scrambled around my house trying to find a blank tape to slap in the recorder to get it, and you know what? I came up empty. Boy, I was running around and saying, this is great, I got to get this on tape, and I couldn't get it. Gee. What was wonderful about it is this. It was the fact that the man could say what he wanted to say. That's what this country's all about.
I think it was important he said what he had to say.
Yeah. No.
Very important.
Huh?
I think it was very important that he had that opportunity.
Yeah, the fact that he could say it in the U.S. of A. And nobody would jump down his throat and say, hey, you can't say that. That's against anything. He had the choice. He had the right and the opportunity on a radio broadcast to say what he said. Not that I or you or anybody else or whoever agreed or disagreed, but the fact that he had the opportunity to say it. That's what the Constitution is all about.
I quite agree.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
And the only thing I tried to call in earlier and ask if there was a possibility of getting a tape, a copy of a blank tape, and I was told by your producer I couldn't. Okay.
No, not available.
Yeah, you but it was an experience, bar none.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Hey, thank you for your show.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye. You're kidding me.
Rocky.
It's an open program, Sarah.
But I got
10:15 on a Friday night. I'll listen to anything.
I got a question. What is your personal opinion about people's opinions about other colored people, and the Jews and the Spanish people and the black people?
What is my personal opinion about colored people, the Jews and Spanish people?
Yeah, all the people that he supposedly hated because of what their religion.
I have no opinions about colored people, Jewish people, or Spanish people. I have no opinions about those groups whatsoever.
No, what's your opinion about people like Rocky?
People like Rocky trouble me very much.
You like him very much?
I said he troubles me very much.
Oh, he troubled you very much.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, do you like him or do you hate him for what he stands for?
I neither like nor hate him.
Oh,
I said
really?
He troubles me. I don't know the man. How could I possibly hate him?
I don't know.
I don't even know if he means what he says.
Really? Huh. Well, do you talk like that?
Do I talk like what?
I mean, do you have opinions toward somebody just because they're black?
Have I made racist remarks in my life? You better believe it.
Oh, you're a racist?
Everyone's a racist, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, can't think of what I want to say. You're, you really don't have any opinions about anything, though. So I want to,
I have many opinions about many things, sir.
Well, how come when people call up and ask you about, do you have an opinion, and you have no opinion?
No, sir, I have no opinions about colored people, Jewish people, or Hispanic people. There's nothing to have an opinion about. I have opinions about individuals, sir. Not about groups.
All right, well, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, so glad to help you out.
Bye.
Bradenton, you're on the air at WPLP. Hello, Bradenton.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, my pleasure.
I want to answer the question that was raised by one gentleman about taking jeans into Poland. When I went to Hungary just a few years ago, I took a suitcase full from Goodwill. Now, right now in Hungary, one of our dollars is worth 53 of theirs. And it takes a man a full month's pay to buy a pair of jeans. And instead of buying brand new ones, I went to 2 or 3 Goodwills, and I took a suitcase full over for my relatives. And that was the first time that they ever had trousers with zippers on. They always had homemade trousers with buttons, and they were tickled to get them even from Goodwill.
Oh, what a good thing it is that you didn't take over Levi's 501.
Oh, I couldn't have afforded to in the first place. But then the next thing I wanted to mention to you years back, but when this came up tonight, I thought I'd share it. But I want to tell you something about Philadelphia, if you have the time to hear it.
Oh, I always have time to talk about Philadelphia.
Well,
especially on Friday
you're
night.
so good at comebacks and quick remarks, and I needed one at one time and didn't have it, and I'm going to tell you the incident. I was always wanting to be in with a professional group, and finally I had an invitation, and 6 ladies were sitting at my table. And when the conversation turned to Philadelphia, I made the remark that I'll never forget Wanamaker's organ at Christmas and how beautiful it sounded.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation, one lady would tilt to the next table and another one to another table and say, she's from Philadelphia. They all turned to me, what section? I said, oh, near Darby. They said, oh, where? I said, Springfield Road. And they said, oh, did you know so-and-so and so-and-so? For generations, they lived there. I said, no, I didn't know them. Well, you didn't know the so-and-sos? No. And they says, where did you live? And I said, you know where the cemetery is on Springfield Road? They said, yes. I says, well, a big, great big mansion that has the great big pillars. They says, yes. And I said, that's where I lived at the Little Flower Institute, the orphanage. And there was perfect silence, and they didn't speak to me for the rest of the meal. And I always wondered, what should I have come out with to that? I mean, it was just like dead silence.
Oh, I think their silence spoke volumes for them. Volumes, ma'am. To have added anything beyond that would have been a travesty.
And they never spoke to me since. I mean, it was just all...
Sounds to me like you're a very lucky woman.
Oh, God's been good to me. I have no reason to complain. But it was such a dead silence that I just wish I would have had some kind of a quip or something to do or say. Because you're so good at those kinds of comebacks.
Well, in that situation, I wouldn't have uttered a word. I would have just let the silence speak for itself.
That's interesting, too. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Stay well.
I'll try.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
For over 50 years, people have put their trust in Allstate.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
And we've helped protect the most important things in their lives.
Your brand new car, your wedding gift, your home sweet home, your golden years. Leave it to the good hands, people.
10:23 the time. I don't know how many of you saw Nightline last night, but oh, what an exciting show. Hodine Carter sitting in for Ted Koppel. Does anybody know what happened to Koppel? That's besides the point. And they were talking about the freeway shootings out in Los Angeles. And for some peculiar reason, I can't figure out why. I guess he's the only one that would let them do it. They had a talk show host at WBZ up in Boston. Oh, well, that was really exciting. And he was taking live calls on the air during Nightline, talking to callers, asking all kinds of exciting questions like, oh, how do you get along on the freeway? And boy, people in Boston are lucky. Don't suppose they'd ever have this show on Nightline, would you? Probably do a hell of a lot more for their ratings. Rocky, Brain Lady. Oh. No, what do? They go to Boston. Hey, how do you feel about driving on the freeway? Oh, yucky poop. St. Petersburg, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yeah, how you doing?
Oh, marvelous.
Oh, what a program. I listened to Rocky the other night for the 32 minutes or 33 minutes, whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of refreshing in a way.
Refreshing?
In a way, yeah, to hear the opposite point of view and to realize that you're 180 degrees from there lets you know that you are alive and well. But anyway, what I called for tonight was Ronald Reagan made an incredible statement tonight, and I can't believe anybody hasn't mentioned it.
What did Ronnie say today?
Well, in his closing remarks to end the month of July with, he said that not a single word in the Iran-Contra hearings that he'd heard or any act could he find where there were any laws broken. That's exactly what he said.
I guess he didn't listen.
I couldn't believe it. And that statement, of course, was refuted tonight on Neil Air.
Well, I should think so. We're talking about forged documents. We're talking about the destruction of government documents. We're talking about the acceptance of gratuities on the part of a government employee. Wasn't he listening those days?
Oh, that's what I mean. It's an incredible statement. But he was serious. And the other thing that he came up with, the beauty, this is a real beauty, to do away with the funds for counseling for women that are going in to find out what alternatives they have. And one of them, of course, is an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And they get counseling on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Reagan wants to take the funds away from that. He's found a way to do it without going through Congress. It seems to me that he works extremely hard.
Well, first of all, you say he's found a way to do it. Don't be so sure about that, because it's the same way that they tried before, and the courts just said no way.
Well, maybe he's just trying to please his extreme right-wing.
Well, that's one way of phrasing it. Pander to them is another.
Well, probably that's what he's doing. But I thought for that statement that he made tonight, it's absolutely incredible. I don't think it was just political rhetoric either. I think the man really believes this, and that's the sick part.
Well, I wonder if he really believes it. And what he knows is that the majority of people who heard him didn't hear the Iran-Contra hearings and consequently don't know.
Well, now that
and he's kind of counting on him.
But don't you find it just a totally absurd statement?
Oh, of course.
I mean, after all of this today, on what Weinberger, Casper Weinberger, and also the testimony given by Reagan.
But you're talking about a man who has vivid recollections of liberating concentration camps at the end of the Second World War. You're talking about a man who doesn't quite understand what a trade deficit is as opposed to a budget deficit. You're talking about a man who frankly isn't very smart.
No, that's unfortunately, I think that's very, very true. And when you hear these statements coming out, I'm amazed that it's taken so many years of a presidency to find out what an inept person we have. And it's very sad. And what went on with this...
It doesn't make any difference what Ronald Reagan thinks about what he heard at the Iran-Contra hearings, because the guilty people, or the people who appear to be guilty, will get their day in court, and the courts will decide, not Ronald Reagan.
Well, I hope that's the case, but think about this. If Mr. Bork makes it on the court, if it gets to that court, to the Supreme Court...
He will.
Well, he probably will. I hope not. I hope they filibuster him out. I really do. But if he does, we're going to see a lot more of this in the future. And...
Well, let me say something very cold and callous. See, Mr. Bork being on the Supreme Court is not going to have much of an effect on my life. I'm white, upper middle class, earn damn good living. So he's going to have very little effect on my life. But all of those people that didn't bother to vote in 1980 or 1984, or all of those people who did bother to vote and voted their emotions instead of their heads, who don't have it as well as I do, and possibly as well as you do, or possibly as well as most of the people listening to this radio station tonight, they're going to pay through the nose because of appointments like Bork. And as callous and as cold-hearted as it may sound, they're going to get precisely what they deserved.
Well, I don't know about that, Bob. I think it affects all of us, and I think it'll have a tremendous effect on... Well, I'll tell you an example it'll have an effect on. What it will do, it will cause people that are in bad financial situations to take alternatives that will cause problems medically, criminally, and every other way, where we wind up paying. We pay more by the type actions that a president like Ronald Reagan wants to initiate. We really pay for them. And I think this guy Bork is frightening. I really think the man's frightening.
He is frightening, sir, and I appreciate that my words are very cold and callous, but I still stand by them. The people are getting what they deserve. They're getting precisely what they deserve. They were warned over and over and over again, but they still chose their beloved Ronnie. Well, now they're going to have a hell of a legacy, maybe a quarter of a century.
Well, that may be very true. Well, enjoy your show, and too bad you got to work tomorrow. Good night.
It really is. Good night. Just when I was feeling good, he had to remind me of that. Pinellas, 393-0057, Hillsborough, 224-0057, Seminole. Hi, you're on the air, WPLP.
Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, sir.
I have to disagree with you and Rocky, and I'll give you my reasons very simply.
Well, first of all, let's get something clear.
Yes.
Rocky and I don't stand on the same side of the street.
Well, the fact that you gave him 35 minutes of anonymity over a radio station to spew the garbage that man spews, I have to believe he's either on a retainer from your radio station, and I certainly expect your ratings to zoom after last night's show. However, why not advertise for a Billy Ferry or an expressway killer or one of these other kooks who hangs out and shoots people in a McDonald's and get them...
Billy Ferry didn't hang out and shoot anybody.
Beg pardon?
Billy Ferry didn't hang out at a McDonald's and shoot anybody.
There have been people, though, who...
Oh, yes, there have, yes.
But why would you put a man on there anonymously? You have a David Duke on, whom I disagree with, but the fact that he was gentleman enough to come up there, give his name and state his views, I admire your station for that. But to give this slime the airwaves to massacre verbally how many millions of Catholics, blacks, and Jews is absolutely absurd.
Why is it absurd? It's a way that an awful lot of Americans feel.
But that doesn't give you the right to give him 35 minutes to expound it with no rebuttal from you.
Oh, I quite beg your pardon, sir. I quite beg your pardon.
Tim.
Sir, yes. I quite beg your pardon.
Well...
There was constant rebuttal.
You play that tape and you're going to find it was not... You were egging him on.
Sir?
Yes.
You know, now you're the one spewing garbage. I did not egg him on and constantly rebutted him. Constantly.
Well, we disagree. But I think to allow an anonymous person to get up and vocalize with that kind of talk is really terrible. He spoke and insulted how many hundreds of millions of people in this world?
He insulted over half the people in this country, sir.
The country, that's only 120. How many Catholics did he insult over the... How many Catholics are in this world?
I believe the Catholics were the least of his problems, sir, but that seems to be the one that is rubbing you the most.
Well, because there are so many of them. Not.
Are you one by any chance?
No, I am not.
Okay.
Take my word for it, I'm not.
I have to. Since you two are also anonymous.
Well, but I'm not espousing any junk like that. His country.
That's the way he feels, sir.
Beg pardon?
It's the way he feels, and I think that it's very important that the rest of us realize how he feels.
Yeah, but
and that he's not alone.
Had he been man enough to come up to your station, sit down in a chair, tell him my name...
Well, let me ask you this. What would have been accomplished if he had never been put on the air and we all sat here and pretended that there weren't people who felt that way? What would have been accomplished by that?
Perhaps he would not have accomplished anything, but he wouldn't get these people who
No, sir, I'll tell you something would have been accomplished. We would have lied to each other.
Well,
that's what would have been accomplished. It would have been a barefaced lie that it's just a marvelous, great country. Think positive thoughts, wave that flag, and pretend that everything is just peachy creamy.
No, everything is not peachy, but it is a great country, and it's a great country because of the diversity of the people who make this country great. It's not any one religion, any one race, any one creed or color. It's all of us.
The thing that makes us a great country, sir, is that we are usually able to face up to our shortcomings.
Well, I think most of us know our shortcomings, but to give an anonymous person the length of time that you gave him, and with the egging on you gave him, that man, I would say, could be a Billy Ferry. If the circumstances were right. He could be an expressway killer if the circumstances were right.
Yeah, he could be.
He has no regard for human feelings or emotions. And I think it's wrong of you and the station to have that type of person on. Most of your callers are plain, ordinary, decent people.
He's a plain, ordinary person, too, sir.
Beg pardon?
He's a plain, ordinary person, too.
Well, he's not ordinary. He's unusual.
Now you're kidding yourself.
Perhaps.
There's an awful lot of Rocky in all of us, sir.
No, maybe a little bit, perhaps, but not to that degree of hate.
Didn't say to that degree. I said there's a little bit of Rocky in all of us.
Perhaps you're right. Thank you for the time.
Take care. 7:30 at the time. We have what we refer to in the business as a bumper. It's a little recorded thing that comes in between the commercial messages, and one of them that we have was done tongue-in-cheek, and it says something to the effect of, sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's ugly, the Bob Lassiter Show, or something words to that effect. I mentioned that. Let's file that one away, and let me mention something else. Today I had the great pleasure, and it is indeed a great pleasure, to the handful of times I tuned in to talk radio today, because I was quite busy, coming across other talk shows talking about last night. This program last night. So last night's program got a little ugly for about a half hour between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. And one of the things I don't seem to be able to get through to an awful lot of you is that the reason you allow a person to go on as we allowed Rocky to go on last night is to disturb you, which it obviously did. I can't think of anything more positive than disturbing you with some of the ugliness in all of us. And I'm just quite amazed that all of the talk that I heard last night and today and up to and including this very evening was all aimed against poor old Rocky. Poor old Rocky. Poor old Rocky's the hate monger. Poor old Rocky's the man who uses the word nigger. Poor old Rocky is the ugly person. Well, it's not poor old Rocky single-handedly who keeps 22 million people under the boot. It's not poor old Rocky single-handedly who has created and maintains and fosters ghettos in this country. It's not Rocky individually, single-handedly, who has established a class system in this country, social, economic. It's not Rocky single-handedly who tolerates and perpetuates an educational system that is grossly unfair towards one group of people in preference in favor of another group of people. You know, I could sit here between now and 11 o'clock and go on with various different examples. It is you, it is me, it is the guy next door, it's the woman upstairs, the young couple down the street. It's all of us. Rocky spoke for all of us, including the black people who have their cute little words and prejudices against other races, other groups of people. Rocky is every man, and I'm glad as hell that he disturbed you, but I'm awfully disappointed that he's the only one you want to complain about. Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hi, Bob. Very
Hi.
interesting show you got going tonight.
No, it's different.
Keep looking out for the full moon, but the clouds are obscuring it tonight, I think.
Well, yeah, every time I play conga, it just seems to
It's that crazy beat.
I guess it is. Those old preachers back in the 50s, they must have been right. Something about those jungle rhythms.
It's that hoodoo magic that you work so well, I think.
Something like that.
Anyway, Bob, I listened to that show last night, and I found it very disturbing and very, very strange. But I think what you said about that really does make a lot of sense. And the day that Rocky saying the word nigger over and over, or Rocky spewing his filth, the day that poses a real threat to us is really the day that we're in a lot of trouble, I think. So
it's just amazing. Here's Rocky, the scapegoat. Rocky is single-handedly responsible for all of the injustice in the entire country, I guess. Single-handedly, all by himself.
Right. I heard a few talk shows in the car today mentioning the show last night, as you had said. And the one thing that did worry me about that is it does allow some racists to say, well, I heard Rocky, and he is a little hateful, but there's always the but there, of course. But, and they'll bring in their own racist points like that. So I don't know how much Rocky teaches us. Certainly we're all racist in a sense, but it makes me worry if that makes people feel they're that much more liberal-minded or something, because they're at least not quite as open as Rocky is or something.
Well, I think we probably basically fall into three groups when it comes to prejudice. We have on one extreme the Rockies of the world, a relative handful of people. We have on the other extreme the true saints of the world, a relatively small group of people. And then we have in between all the rest of us. And I don't think 32, and I believe it was 32 minutes, 16 seconds to be precise. I don't believe 32 minutes, 16 seconds of Rocky screaming nigger and Jew was going to tip anybody in that direction who wasn't already in that direction. I believe that 32 minutes and 16 seconds of some of the most vehement, disgusting, horrible, hate-filled talk probably did a lot more to push people in the other direction.
Well, I would
because it wasn't pretty.
So.
It wasn't pretty at all. There's nothing to be proud of.
Not at all. Now, you did mention one thing I wanted to ask you tonight. I'd like to get into the racism at another point. I don't know if tonight is the perfect forum for it, but
Friday night, sir. It's anything is perfect on Friday night.
Okay. Well, you did mention that you yourself, we are all racist and we're all prejudiced in our own ways. And you mentioned you yourself have used, racial epithets or whatever.
You better believe it.
But I find that hard to believe. I don't know. Maybe I was lucky enough to be raised away from that. I didn't come from a totally pure family in that regard. My father swore and stuff like that, but one thing we knew as kids was saying the word nigger was just about as bad as you could get in our house, because it was really revealing something very, very, very ugly in us. And I find it hard to imagine you driving down the street, I don't know,
hey, I'm just a human being,
or something like that when someone runs in front of your car or something like that.
I'm just a human being, sir. I make lots of mistakes. I have lots of failures and shortcomings.
I understand that, and I know that a lot of people do appreciate your openness, because you're very open about that. Anyway, I have one other question for you. I was glad to hear a plug for you on Larry King the other night, and I was wondering what your opinion is on Larry King.
I don't listen to enough of King to have a real opinion. I stand as a radio talk show host. I stand in utter awe of his ability to sit there and make an interesting hour out of some of the most mundane guests that you can begin to imagine. There's one that always sticks out in my mind, Valerie Bertinelli. How anybody can sit there and talk to Valerie Bertinelli for an hour is beyond me. So from that point of view, I stand in awe of King.
Yeah, then that's the first, I first got interested in talk shows at all by listening to Larry King. I had a friend that literally begged me to check out Larry King, and I found it really fascinating. And I think the way he even handles open phone is really amazing.
I've only heard one segment of Open Phones, and I can't begin to imagine why they do it. The segment that I heard, I mean, imagine the most inane, stupid callers you can think of on the Bob Lassiter show, and they would have been brilliant on that one segment of Open Phones that I've ever heard King do.
Well, you should listen to a little more. He handles himself very well, and it's very funny. You have to be up for it, and he is in the later hours when he gets to Open Phone. But
well, Larry King,
very amusing.
Well, Larry King and I, as well as a lot of other people in this business, kind of grew up in the same school of talk radio, the golden age of Miami talk radio, which is long gone, I hasten to point out.
Right, he was in the Miami.
Yeah, I worked for WIOD. Used to do his talk show out of a houseboat on, I guess it was not Biscayne, Collins Avenue in Miami Beach. That's the school of talk radio that I come from as well. The sarcastic, the sometimes downright rude, abrupt, caustic school of talk radio, and there are probably a couple of dozen of us floating around now in various different parts of the country, because there's hardly anybody left with the exception of Rogers, I guess, in Miami, Neil Rogers. The way he handled the segment of Open Phones, I thought was fine, but it wasn't enjoyable because he was talking to absolute idiots. People calling up with exciting things to say, like, who's going to be your guest next Tuesday, Larry? There's not much you can do with that.
True.
And when you've got 5 or 6 of them in a row, and that's what I heard, it wouldn't cause me to stay up and listen to Open Phones.
You should listen to a little more of it, because sometimes he does get into more of the political thing, and I think he handles himself really well against some very, very odd people.
Well, he's got a very tough job. Larry King's show has to play in the big city, and it also has to play in the small hamlet and everything in between. I wouldn't want that for love nor money.
No.
I'd end up a dead man.
He has to rush it much more, too, to keep the audience's interest, and a lot of people really find that too much. When I first started listening to him, I thought, what an abrasive jerk, and it really took me a few listens to appreciate where he's coming from. And really, to be honest with you, Bob, the first time I heard you driving in a car, I just thought, what an abrasive jerk. I think it was another situation where you had come up with a very strict question for the audience, and they were straying a little from it, and you were jumping on their throats for it.
You have
to. I thought, this man you're a complete jerk. You're just so abrupt with these people. But I really do appreciate you, and I think your show is fantastic, and I really admire the job you do.
Let me tell you something. There's no such thing in this business as a talk show host manual, but there is. I once saw the talk show host manual for a station that no longer exists, at least not in that form, WRC in Washington, D.C., which at the time was an NBC-owned and operated O&O talk station. And it was a real, what we would refer to in the business as fluff talk station. They bring in the plant lady for an hour.
Right.
That type of thing. And in their talk show host manual, and this really astounded me because it happens to be my philosophy too, they mentioned, what do you do when you get a caller off topic? Well, even at this really nice, hi, I want to be your friend kind of station,
right,
they suggested doing exactly what I do. You are brutal, just miserable and mean, and you insult them and get rid of them as quickly as you can. The reason you do that, and nobody likes to, but the reason, especially if it's some sweet little old grandmother.
Right.
Get off my phone, you jerk. Don't ever call me. You'll feel like a scumbag doing it, but if you don't do it, then you'll get 10 more just like it.
Certainly.
And if you lose control of the show, then you're not doing your job.
But I think you are best. I know it's a very difficult, it's got to be an insanely difficult job, but you're at your best when you're dancing on that fine line between, how a lot of people have been calling you up and say, why aren't you more mean to them? And then the others will phone up and say, how could you say that to grandmother or something? But I think when you're on that fine line of making those choices in your own mind and still being funny and witty with it is when you're at your best. But I really do appreciate your time, Bob, and
I appreciate the call.
The show a lot.
Take care.
Thank you.
Vanilla Spark, you're on there at WPLP.
Yes, sir. Rocky hates no one. He is begging for love and attention. Rocky is crying for help. That is why he tells how he hates others. It is himself that he hates because he has no outstanding accomplishment in his life. He knows that there is many a person who will sympathize with him and get on his bandwagon. I know I have been in the same quagmire of self-pity. Cussing was my vice until I started attending council meetings and spoke on important issues, and then writings of mine appeared in the local hometown newspaper. I found that other people, the community besides my family, loved me. That's all I have to say. You are doing absolutely the right thing, Bob. You are helping the man tremendously. You have a wonderful mind on you, and I thank you for it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, honey.
I like to be thought of as Dr. Bob. West Tampa, you're on there at WPLP.
Dr. Bob.
Yes, that's me.
I'm glad you had Rocky on last night. I'm sorry I missed it. But I want to tell you that this man is needed. It's only to wake up people that when he gets through with the Jews and the blacks, he's going to pick on the Catholics next.
Oh, he's already picking on them.
And then comes your fundamentalists. So you need people like this to educate people who are out there saying it can't happen here.
It's very true.
And I thank you for letting him be on and spill his venom. Maybe he can educate some people. Thank you.
I thank you. Sometimes I have some very strange conversations over the dinner table. One of the things we were talking about tonight, and boy, we talked about a lot of things tonight, was something that I don't know if I'm being an alarmist or whether I'm being a realist, whether I'm really seeing something that's starting to develop or not. But more and more often, when you hear people complaining about the blacks, they are starting to work in another group of unfavorite people, the communists, more and more often. I bring that up because there's a parallel. You know, if you want to know the future, study the past. There is indeed a parallel where an unpopular group of people who were unpopular in and of themselves in a nation not so very long ago were also tied in with the communists to make it even more acceptable to dump on those people. Obviously, I'm talking about the Jews in Germany. And whether I'm being overly sensitive or overreacting or seeing something that doesn't truly exist, I don't know. I have no way of knowing. But it's sure starting to look that way to me. I can't remember who it was that said it, and I can't be even sure I'm going to quote it correctly. But it's a line. It's a little food for thought line. Something to the effect of, don't walk around asking, can it happen here? Walk around asking, why hasn't it happened yet? Behave yourselves.